man that goes up to a group of 13-year-olds and goes, "Hey guys, Snapchat filters are cool, but you know what's really cool? Accepting Christ as your personal Lord and Savior." I'll take a chair and turn it around backwards. You know how cool people sit. And say, "Well, St. Matthew was the John Green of his day, and the Bible is The Fault in Our Stars." Or I'll try and work Jesus into pop songs from 5 years ago, like, "Tick-tock on the cross, my salvation don't stop." I also kind of look like a news anchor, but not a news anchor on a good channel. Like a news anchor on the channel provided by your cable company. You know, I'm the guy on FiOS 1 News telling you news you heard about months ago on the internet. Like, "Hey, did you guys hear about that gorilla? She knows sign language. Isn't that incredible?" And then I have on hairspray that they found in a burned down CVS and a tie that brings out my dead eyes as I go off and I report on a high school lacrosse game or the opening of another goddamn pizza place. And at night I wipe away my tears with my journalism degree and tell myself, "I'm making a difference." One time, and this is absolutely true, I was walking down the streets of New York, and this guy who was trying to get money for some charity that he was doing was trying to get my attention, and he calls out, "Hey, Larry Bird!" And I turned around. My freshman year, I was in English class one time, and I had to write a paper, "Have you ever been mistaken for anybody?" And I haven't been mistaken for anybody besides Ferris Bueller's best friend. And so I wrote this essay about how I'm often mistaken for actor Don Cheadle. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with Don Cheadle, think the opposite of this. And this was a very detailed paper about how people would stop me on the street and tell me how much they loved Hotel Rwanda or Iron Man 3, the biggest joke. And so I handed this paper in, and I'm a forgetful guy. I kind of forgot that I wrote about this paper after I handed it in. And then I ran into my English teacher at the Barnes & Noble, and she yells from across the hallway, "Don Cheadle?" And everybody started staring at her, and she just kept going, "Don? Is that Don Cheadle?" And I had completely forgotten. I'm like, "Miss Sutter, are you having a stroke?" And it's fun. In that English class, we were reading Night by Elie Wiesel, which, for those unfamiliar, it's a Holocaust memoir. And my English teacher started the year by having our entire class stand up, and she just pointed at people and went, you, sit down." And so 21 kids out of my class of 24 sat down, with myself and 2 friends still standing. And then she said, "If you're still standing, you would have survived the Holocaust." Which is a thing you say to 8th graders, as we all do. And I was standing there. I had a friend standing to my right. He raised his hand. "I'm half Jewish." So that was the big one. He was kind of out. She would not have passed her Nazi exam. And the kid standing to my left raises his hand and goes, "Didn't they have a thing against gingers?" And the teacher went, and I quote, "I don't know, just sit down." Which left me in my class of 24 as the sole Holocaust survivor. I don't know. I'm a little sick right now. It's okay, nothing serious. My doctor says a lot of boys my age come down with HIV. He texted it to me. He used to tell me my diagnoses, but they would just freak me out. He'd be like, "You have 1 good year left." I'd be like, "What?" He'd say, "You got 1 good year left." This is true. One time I went in with a sore throat. I went to the doctor, and the doctor tested me for strep, and the strep test came back negative, so they tested me for mono. Mono test came back negative, so they stuck me with a needle, and they drew blood. And I said, "Why are you drawing blood?" And they're like, "Oh, we just want to make sure it's not leukemia." which is a reasonable step. You know, it's not strep, it's not mono, might be leukemia. Which is weird. It's like as if you went in with your car broken and you're like, "All right, one headlight is out." And they're like, "All right, well, it's probably either a problem with the bulb or maybe it's leukemia." I also kind of look like a narc on his first day on the job. I'm not, though. You're good. I am a graduate of the DARE program. Anybody DARE? Cool. For those of you who didn't get carded tonight, DARE is a program for middle schoolers, which basically said to stay away from drugs at all times. And they would give us these real-life scenarios about high school life and what it would be like. And they'd always go something like, "Johnny was on his way to pre-calc when 8 different people offered him crack cocaine. What does he do?" And of course, the answer was to say no. So I learned two things from the DARE program. One, to always say no to drugs, of course. And the second was that high school was going to be one big opium den where people were going to be offering me ecstasy left and right. And I was shocked when I got to the high school and nobody offered me drugs. I was a little offended. Am I not cool enough to get drugs? And then I thought, nah, I'm cool. We probably just got rid of every single drug in America, right, gang? I finally found the drugs, however, at the end of my freshman year. Hi, Mom. I was fast asleep in my lyrical poetry class when the senior sitting behind me tapped me on the shoulder, and this boy, let me paint you a picture. This boy had a thick, thick beard, drove a truck, listened to Fish, took lyrical poetry. Like, if anyone's going to offer me drugs, this was my guy. And so he sticks out his hand, and there are these 3 little white pills. And I said, what are they? And he said, they're caffeine pills. And I'd never heard of caffeine coming in pill form. So my brain said, Jack, don't take these sketchy white pills. You're going to get murdered. But my hand said, not too late. You already swallowed them. And the next 6 hours flew by in 30 seconds. This routine was brought to you by the good people at Nutricost. Quality above all else. That's the Nutricost difference. Summer's over. I'm going into my senior year of high school now, which is exciting. Woo! I started applying for colleges, which was described to me as an interesting experience, which is a very polite way of saying slightly preferable to castration. I have trouble filling out these brag sheets, which is essentially where you pat yourself on the back for being treasurer of the politics club or how many grapes you can fit in your mouth. And most of my day I spend finding flaws in myself. I can rattle those off no problem. When I don't wear my Invisalign, the recommended 22 hours a day, at best 10 minutes. When I don't comb my hair, I look like the 5th Beatle, the autistic one. I own Cats on vinyl. I've listened to it. And how can I, in good conscience, say that the boy who just a few years ago took a stranger's unmarked white pills belongs at Columbia University? I mean, what can I say? Trusting nature to a fault? Healthy interest in pharmaceuticals? Hey, he only did it once? And as I'm sure you can tell by the way I speak and hold myself, I want to be a theater major. Good on you for guessing, shame on you for assuming gay. And as a theater major, there's an additional step to the application process where you have to audition, you have to prove you're good enough at theater. And it's interesting to me because most colleges kind of assume, all right, you have good grades, you're going to be a good astropsychiatrist or something. And like, they don't expect pre-med students to already be able to do open heart surgery. Pre-law students don't have to acquit O.J. Simpson. Economics majors don't have to ruin the global economy. It's just assumed you already know how to. But through it all and all of the stress of being young, what keeps me from just losing it is that I think that deep down I'm a good kid. And the reason I think this is that my parents have a hard time disciplining me because they don't do it often. They don't know how to. Recently, my father found a condom in my room and told me I wasn't allowed to leave the house until I smoked the whole pack. Thank you. Have a good night.